The idea behind the new semantic elements in HTML5 is to give web pages a more meaningful structure and improve accessibility. It's fine in principle, but there are problems. The first problem is that there's no support in older versions of Internet Explorer. The semantic tags are supported only by Internet Explorer 9 and after. The workaround relies on JavaScript. The JavaScript solution forces Internet Explorer to create dummy elements that are never displayed, but which coax it into applying styles to HTML5 tags in your web pages. Problem is that if JavaScript is disabled, the new HTML5 elements remain unstyled in those older browsers. And the other problem is that assistive technology hasn't really caught up with HTML5. So what are the solutions? Well, one solution is to ignore the problem. Another one is to wrap the new tags in div elements. This approach is advocated by Tantik Celik, one of the most respected names in the web standards community. Let's see what it looks like in practice. This is a web page that uses the new HTML5 semantic tags such as article and header, section. Each one is wrapped in a div that has the same class name as the tag it surrounds. And if you look at the CSS, if you look at the style sheet, you'll see that you have to have two sets of rules, one for the HTML5 tags, setting the margin and padding to 0. That's in case browsers add default margins or padding to them, as has happened with Fig Caption and Figure. And then you also need the classes to display as block. I think that this all works very fine in principle, but maybe it's a little bit of overkill. So what other solutions might there be? Well, the first one is not to use the new HTML5 tags, and the alternative is to use Y-ARIA roles. Y-ARIA stands for Web Accessibility Initiative Accessible Rich Internet Application Specification. It's a bit of a mouthful, that's why people call it Y-ARIA. The way in which it works is that for each HTML semantic tag you assign a Y-ARIA role. For example, for article, the Y-ARIA role is also called article, but HTML5 aside tags take the Y-ARIA role of note, complementary or search depending on what they're actually doing in the page. Footer becomes content info. Header is a banner, but that's only used if the header is for a banner type of heading. It's not for an ordinary heading. The H1, H2, H3 tags, they take care of that. There's no need to add an extra role. Nav is navigation, and section, there's a variety of roles that you can apply to that. Unfortunately, Dreamweaver doesn't support the role attribute in Code View or in the Tag Inspector panel. However, you can use Dreamweaver's Find and Replace dialog box. Go to the Edit menu and select Find and Replace. And what you need to do is to find in Folder. And go to the Hotel Begin folder for this lesson. Select that. Then change Search to Search for Specific Tag. The tag that you want to search for is div, so select that from this menu here. And set with attribute to ID. And then type header in the field alongside. Now, although Dreamweaver doesn't support the role attribute itself, you can type role in the set attribute field in the to. This is what you're going to set the value of role to. Set it to banner. You're not going to be using a regular expression, so make sure that that is deselected, and then click Replace All. Now, Dreamweaver will warn you that it can't undo this operation in documents that aren't open, but that's not a problem, just click Yes. And you'll see that what has happened here is the results panel shows you that it's added role equals banner to all 5 header divs in the selected folder. To make further changes, click this green arrow at the top left of the results panel to open the Find and Replace dialog box again. Rather than go through each change in this video, I've created a list of the settings I used. Because the Find and Replace dialog box can effect changes on a whole site, this is a relatively quick and painless way to make your site more accessible. You can find out more about Y-ARIA and the role attribute at the following URLs. The decision about when to start adopting HTML5 semantic tags depends very much on the nature of your project and target audience. Old browsers take a long time to die out, so until assistive technology catches up with the new tags, my personal feeling is that using existing tags with the Y-ARIA role attribute is probably the wiser strategy.